Welcome to Band Scamps, an in-depth look at albums and releases by West Michigan artists. Hosted by Dan Fisher and Julio Gomez. This week on Band Scamps, Dan and Julio review Fight by Nate Johnivan and Quarantine Jams by Natural Body.
Hello, Internet, and welcome to yet another episode of Band Scamps. My name is Dan Fisher, joined by my co-host, Julio Gomez. Say hi, Julio.
Hey, Julio.
What is up, dude?
Man, I'm just dancing it off. I'm getting pumped. I'm ready to talk about some more music.
This is episode 11. It's April 15, Thursday. We got off to a really kind of a bumpy start. My internet was out today for a second, but now I'm back.
It seems like it's good. And we were actually, the last couple of sessions we've had have been a little bit patchy, both in terms of audio and video. And you're looking really good. You're looking really, really fresh right now. I like it.
Hell yeah. I think it's like I think a couple things happened. First of all, I was talking to my sister about internet yesterday, and I was like on the website, like checking some stuff, and like in my mind, I feel like the internet company was like, oh shit, he's like looking into his stuff. We better make sure it's all good to go, or else he's gonna cancel with us.
Oh, okay. That's good. Maybe you had a little bit of motivating carrot on a stick thing.
Also, I restarted my computer.
Oh, hey.
So sometimes you just gotta clear it up, you know?
Who knows?
This has been an exciting week. Again, we record these about 2 weeks ahead, but this is the week that we launched our Patreon. So this is really exciting.
Woo! Yeah, it's been really fun. We're brainstorming like crazy.
Yeah, we have a lot of great treats for the Patreon patrons. If you don't know about it already, it is patreon.com/bandscamps. And we have 3 different tiers. We have First Impressionist, Scamp, and Scamp VIP.
Scamp VIP is the best one, by the way. I want to just put that out there right now.
Yeah, if the VIP didn't give it away, Scamp VIP is the best one. I was like brainstorming ideas yesterday, and I thought of one that was like really funny, but like it's not necessarily like safe. But I was just like thinking about like, instead of like ordering through DoorDash, just like order something and I'll go pick it up and then like deliver it to you.
It's not like unsafe, but you don't want to go to a restaurant and do it.
I don't want to do that.
You go through a drive-through.
Yeah, I just thought that was like really funny. It was just
Jot
like,
it down. Did you put it on the list?
I didn't put it on the list.
Okay,
but,
we got to make sure to put it on the list. That's a really good one.
Yeah, or just like I'll run errands for you. Just just like me working for you.
It's like a butler service. Like, yeah, that's good. Listeners, if you're interested in becoming part of the butler service where Dan just does random chores for you, hop on patreon.com/bandscamps. We have this organized, just an easy way for you to support us. So if you want to give even just $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever, you can do that. These tiers are just kind of there just to organize it, to make it easy for you, and also maybe incentivize us to make even better and more varied content.
Exactly. And, you know, if you still have like a small business or products, we are still accepting sponsorships as well. So,
yeah, any way you want to support us makes it easier. And we're just going to do more and more of this really cool kind of experiment we're working on here. That is Band Scamps.
For sure. I don't know, Julio, if you want to address some feedback email that we got this week.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's go right away and do all that. So we know about the Patreon. Mm-hmm. You know where you can find us every Tuesday. We premiere episodes. One of the new Patreon rewards is early access to episodes, and we want to just engage with you in whatever way we can. And one way that we do is like, you said, listener emails. So we can jump into listener emails. We have a few.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, we can pull up a few. Do you have any going? I also have this in a different view now, so we can. I was thinking one of the Patreon rewards can be the full unedited Zoom call.
Ooh, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I think we need a secondary
Behind
editor.
The scenes.
Yeah, we need a secondary editor to make sure, like, you need to watch this to make sure anything that we say that should not be aired, you know?
Yeah.
Like anything that we shouldn't say, we should like cut out, but otherwise the whole thing.
If you want to join our Patreon and just end up being an employee of ours.
There you go.
Paying us to work for us.
It's called it's a paying internship.
Yeah.
We've gotten so many emails, but recently we got one from a listener, and it was
a patron.
A patron, yeah. I think they were a listener then patron, but they've been a fan for a while, and mostly good things here. But I think that I can go into, some of the negatives they said. They liked it. They think that criticism is great and think what we're doing is great. But here's something they said. After listening to episode 8, I believed you missed the mark on reviewing Koi Boy's album. I've heard your ability to really dive into an album and dissect it track by track, getting into the song structure, production, lyrics, motivation, etc. But on this album, other than offering thoughts on the intro track, which were solid, you pretty much breezed through the album, which, side note, I do not disagree at all about that.
Absolutely, yeah. They're not wrong about that at all. But it's we're still in the early stages in the long run, and a lot of albums, sometimes it's difficult to talk about an album at length.
Yeah, and this has been a topic that we haven't really brought up yet, and this is a good time to introduce it. There's actually more to this email, but I think what they say here is basically the core of it, and I don't disagree at all. But there's this phenomenon that we have come across, and we kind of brought it up, and we even brought it up on episode 8, that the more we like a release, we might have the least to talk about it.
For sure.
And there has got to be we'll name we'll like put a name to this phenomenon, I think. But I think saying that, there's a different point though, because it starts going up again. It goes back up. It's like goes down. It starts off high if we'd hate it. It goes lower as we like it, and then it shoots right back up if we love it.
I feel like I want to call it like the unscampy valley.
Ooh, my goodness, I love that so much.
Yeah.
TM.
Yeah. TM, the unscampy valley. If you're not familiar with the uncanny valley, it's a concept of measuring creepiness in a way. But the unscampy valley is a measurement of how long we talk about an album.
Yeah. Well, we can go to the uncanny valley, I think refers to classically computer generated images of humans, right?
Yeah.
Like the closer you get to it, like it starts off being like, okay, it's believable because it's kind of cartoony and whatever. And the more realistic it gets, the more grossed out you get.
Yeah.
And then if you break through that, if it's more realistic, then it becomes indistinguishable from actual real human.
Exactly.
And then you don't have that psychological response of disgust or distrust or whatever you would call it.
I would say the most classic example is the animation on the Polar Express movie.
Okay, yeah. Bad.
Yeah, that one has been rated really creepy just because of it's kind of realistic looking, but every character seems to have like this like dead look in their eyes.
I love it. It's definitely a trope. There's an episode of 30 Rock where one of the characters, spoilers, wants to make like a porno video game, and someone's like, you can't do it. Everyone wants to do it, but the uncanny valley.
Exactly.
You're gonna get stuck in the uncanny valley, and it's gonna be creepy and not sexy.
Exactly.
And that kind of applies here. Another thing I draw a distinction with is with competitive Magic playing. There's a valley too, where if you're really bad at this game, you're really nice. And then the better you get, you become like a horrible misanthrope. The better you get until you break through and become actually good. Like you're perceived, and I think almost bands are like this too, right?
Totally, yeah. I would agree.
Let's bring back to music. I've played with bands that like thought they were good and they're the biggest fucking assholes. And then I played with bands that were terrible and they were so nice.
Yeah.
And then I played with bands that were actually good that were like, I couldn't believe I was playing with them, and they ended up being the coolest people ever.
That's actually the nice thing about opening for some like larger regional or national bands is when they're good, they're almost always very, very nice.
Exactly. Let me get back to this email here too.
Yeah, let's talk about the email.
They say, I think you could have gone deeper for the listener and for Koi Boy. Agreed again, and apologies to Koi Boy. Even if you liked an album, there's always room for criticism. More to the point, I wasn't convinced you two gave the album enough time to be able to offer more in-depth ideas. Ultimately, I was left wondering if you are only able to offer in-depth criticism to only certain genres of music that you may have more experience or interest in. Maybe that's okay, though.
I think these are all fair criticisms. I really appreciate the feedback. The importance of the feedback from the listeners, is that it just helps make the podcast better. And that's all we're trying to do. And
we actually offered more feedback and kind of exchange of ideas with this listener. And I'm going to kind of just leave that between us and the listener because I think it's more fun and more interesting that way. And I kind of want to just let what they said their stand as it is, like if you're wondering if we're only able to offer in-depth criticism to only certain genres of music, that's fair. we can address that as being wrong or not, though. I mean, if you can,
I
you can.
feel like if you look at our catalog of albums we've reviewed, it's pretty wide.
It is wide. It is wide. I think if you look at the catalog of the music that you and I have made, it's actually pretty wide.
Absolutely.
We've dabbled in every genre that Coy Boys album is in.
100%.
I haven't rapped personally.
Right.
Although I've worked alongside rappers, I've produced hip hop tracks, you know?
For sure. I think, and also remember that every album that we have reviewed has been submitted to us. Nothing has been picked out by us.
True. That is true. One thing I can speak to with the notion of like not having experience in a thing and being able to criticize it, I think that like if you talk about like movies or food, we've all had experiences where we were like presented something very, very, very new to us that we had no experience in, didn't know how to talk about, didn't know how to experience, but we still were able to pass a value judgment if we liked it or not liked it, you know?
For sure. Yeah.
So I think that maybe, you know, we were just burned out.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to
we did
that.
take a break after that episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we did. And listener, if you're listening now to this podcast, you're going to hear this after the recap we already did, and we're going to address this more. But I think it is great. Thanks, Dan, for bringing this up. Just for the listener to be on the same timeline. We're kind of like working these like alternate parallel timelines with our podcast and live feed.
Right.
And the Patreon actually is one way to unify that all into one
Exactly.
into one Scamp cinematic universe.
Absolutely. And I would even just suggest you to try to support us through the First Impressionist tier. It gets you access to the private Discord. It's a pretty active Discord.
Yeah, it's active, and that's all. You know, and it's also like current in the timeline.
Right. So if Julio is really good about sharing what we're reviewing and just kind of like our schedule and input from the Discorders.
Discordians?
Discordians. Ooh, I love it.
I don't know. There's probably a name for them, right?
Yeah.
It's probably something dumb like boo beeps.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
So anyway, I just want to address that and just appreciate all feedback, all critiques, all criticisms, and all conversations. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. We're getting a lot of good response too, but that was probably one of the few negatives we've gotten in a couple weeks. So I think I wanted to just talk about that because that's actually really engaging and interesting to me too. To
It's
be critiqued.
really refreshing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Should we jump into the
Let's do
first
it.
record?
Let's do it.
I don't think we even talked about which one we're going to do first. I think we should do Nate Johnivan first.
I agree.
Okay.
So our first record we're talking about is called Fight with an exclamation point. So it's called Fight.
Huh.
By artist Nate Johnivan, and it came out November 3rd of 2020, so a late 2020 release.
Uh-huh.
And let's jump right into first impressions here.
First impressions here, and I think we've kind of been establishing. Let's go with artwork as well. Artwork kind of fits into first impressions and title. Fight sounds like it's going to be like in my face, and so maybe I'm kind of looking forward to this listening to this. You know,
right? It's like it's a verb. You know, fight.
Mm-hmm. It's a fight. It's a command.
Yes.
You know, it's almost a directive. You know.
Yeah.
Album art, it says it's got the background's, you know, a solid color, and it says "fight" a bunch of times, right? And
yeah, it's like a school photo.
It's a school photo of a kid who looks like he's got somewhat of a black eye.
Yeah, it is Nate.
Okay, I figured it would be.
So it's a child photo of Nate. It's adorable, and
that's awesome.
And it just says "fight" in the background a bunch of times, and it's a really engaging album art.
It's great. I like it. It reminds me of other like singer-songwriter like albums that I've seen. It feels like it might be rock music based on the title and art and what I know about bands that also utilize that kind of aesthetic.
For sure.
Exclamation marks are a big statement, I feel like.
That is. I actually, in college, I took some writing classes, and one of my professors told me that she heard from another teacher or mentor of theirs that they had a rule that they're only allowed 3 exclamation points in their life.
What?
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's
I
insane.
know, but I do like that restriction of challenge of trying to express excitement without punctuation.
I don't even try it on social media. I don't use punctuation very often. You know, I'll use question marks when it's obviously I'm questioning something. But if I'm like stating a question, I don't use it. You know, I don't know.
I wish that the monocle could be like a form of punctuation without the emoji, just the monocle.
Right. Yeah. We might need to make an emoticon. Probably find one with some zeros and dots or something.
For sure. So anyway, I'm a big exclamation point guy. I pretty much use it 24/7.
There's a Seinfeld episode where Elaine gets mad that people or her boyfriend isn't using exclamation marks. When someone had a baby, it's like someone had their baby and there's no exclamation mark.
Or like The Office, like it is your birthday.
Yep. So yeah, I think that like it's kind of impactful right away, and I'm kind of looking forward to this. And so sometimes, for better or worse, you can set yourself up for expectation with just the tiniest little bit of your content you put out there.
Exactly.
First song, Child versus Divorce.
So first impression of like all this, the music in general, and Child versus Divorce is like, this is like indie pop with like emo like vocals.
Yeah, kind of poppy emo. It's kind of a little bit, once it starts going, you kind of can, the vocals are pretty clear, and you can kind of tell it's a little bit on like the storytelling side of things a little bit.
I don't know. It's like there are a lot of lyrics to all these songs, but it was apparent like right away in this first song too. It's very lyric driven and lyric heavy.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely very lyric heavy. It kind of reminded me of the Motel album a little bit right away. I had like vibes. I had like kind of like hints of that in my brain. It's like kind of catchy, and like I'm kind of like happy, honestly, to hear that kind of music for this episode. You know?
Yeah.
I didn't really want to rack my brain about something too hard. So like this kind of delivered in a way, at least off the bat for me, that I was like, okay, I can settle right into this. And like we haven't really had that kind of music since the Motel split either.
No, not really. I think the closest thing would maybe be like Ryan Experience.
Definitely. And like even with like the Paula Motel, I think we were a little bit harsh on that record. Kind of like it felt like we were, but like but I also think that like that was like one of the more catchy and interesting poppy things that we had. So in retrospective, you know, maybe we weren't that harsh at all, but it's like refreshing to hear that kind of music all of a sudden was like an impression I got when listening to this.
Yeah, and with Motel too, just real quick, is I think like by now Julio and I can both like safely say that we both like that record. Like,
oh, definitely.
It's grown on us like a lot.
Definitely, hands down, is grown on us.
Speaking of Motel, just in like in terms of production, I think there's like actually like a lot of really good production on this record.
Yeah, and this first song, I think I agree with you. I do have some critique off the bat. That keyboard, like I'm not good at recording synth.
Yeah.
And whenever I record it, it always sounds like really DI to me. And I kind of got around this by like reamping the hell out of anything I'm doing. Like if I have like
that's the way to go.
If I have a digital like keyboardy app or a piece of hardware that does that, going right into the computer just sounds so harsh. Even if I go into a preamp, so I put it through my amp. You know, I put it through my amp, and I might even put it through my amp and mic that and mic another amp and do that. And I kind of feel like a technique like that might have benefited this, because the synth got kind of clicky, and I was listening in headphones, and I was like, oh man. And unfortunately that synth started driving me crazy, or like just started getting to me so hard that I was like, I kind of had to stop.
I had kind of a similar experience, not just with like the synth, but just the overall, I think, mix of the whole record, is that everything's kind of like blown out a little bit. Everything's like super, super hot.
Very much so. But I will say that this song in particular, and that synth complaint I have, is really the only complaint I had too much about most of the recording in that regards.
Yeah. I would say the other thing in terms of synth throughout this like record, and like maybe the guitar, is like I thought like it seemed very like preset kind of sounds.
Interesting.
You know, I didn't feel like they really went into like the sound design at all. This like they found like a cool kind of like sound, and they just kind of rolled with it.
I don't even know if I even like paid attention to the guitar on this record.
It's definitely not like, if it's weird because there is guitar, but yeah, it's not like the main thing.
All my notes are really sequential, and we're still on this first song, and my whole like screen right here. And now that I have this recorded nice, so we're both side to side, and we look good. I'm on my phone, and it was just like there's a lot I had on this first song. I wish the vocals were a little bit louder.
I agree with that
on this first song, especially.
Yeah, I think it gets better later on, but the first song they could have been louder,
especially in headphones. I listened to it, and another thing about the vocals, there was a reverb on there that, like, man, like it kind of hurt my head. Like it was actually kind of.
I actually agree with this time. I thought the reverb could have been chilled out a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, I listened to it three different ways: phone, headphones, speakers. and I have decent speakers, and I listen, I like my speakers, and they sound good, and it sounded the best on the speakers. It sounded like it almost sounded like, oh, I don't even notice that kind of hissing, and like the reverb thing was just making the vocals go like, you know what I mean, just like rattle around.
Yeah, I think maybe it may have to do with like the timbre of his voice too. That it was just like maybe just the mixture of the two things were just kind of like adding up some like harsh frequencies.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because I liked it. I liked listening to it, but as I was typing, I noticed like I'm gonna need to find a way to listen to this where the keyboard's not getting to me. This is a catchy song. I'm gonna listen to it again, and I did 3 times in a row. Partially because I like it, and partially because the synth is so distracting. I think I'm missing a lot of the cool things.
Gotcha.
And so I did get this a couple better listens, and now I can really dive into it. I'm sorry if I'm taking so long on this track, but there's a lot that I have to say about it.
No, that's good.
I like this kind of singer rocker stuff.
Me too. There's really good storytelling. It's
not that dissimilar to what we do in I Believe in Julio. Some of the kind of music. So I'm kind of predisposed to understanding where this artist is coming from.
Yeah, I get like some kind of like late Death Cab vibes from this.
Dude, I actually have written on here, nice genre. I bet this guy likes Death Cab for Cutie.
Yeah, like I'm thinking like anything from like Transatlanticism on. Yeah, that's so awesome.
Dude, video. This is going to be rewarded to anything. We can put this on YouTube too, probably once we get an editor.
We should.
I don't want to edit shit 4 times in a row, though.
I know it's so hard. We really need some help.
I think I just need to get my workflow better, where I edit just the video, then I just pull the audio from the video.
Yeah, dude, it's exhausting though. It's a lot of work. You do a lot, man.
Thank you. I'm actually keeping track of the hours spent on it.
Good.
Just to like kind of see how much do I put on this in a week, just so we know.
I would say you probably put in like at least what, like 20 hours? Yeah, I would say.
Yeah.
Whatever. All right. Anything else for this first song? I think I have I like the lyrics, but there isn't a lot of melody to grab onto.
No, there's not, but it has a few little catchy hooks and turnarounds that I think kind of make up for that. I don't really have a whole lot written about the lyrics or the vocals, and now thinking about it now, like the song's it's called Child vs. Divorce, and it seems to be about a divorce scenario.
Yeah.
Like written from the child's perspective?
Yeah, I think so.
This album's like storytelling, and it's also like a little bit political too, and it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
It doesn't
really
quite
political.
get there quite yet here, but after this song, especially. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, let's go to the next one.
This song is called
Fight versus Flight.
They're all something versus something, huh?
Yeah. So that kind of plays into the Fight title.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
Two things are always fighting against each other.
Oh, I didn't even realize that.
Woo!
Dan's is gonna get the.
I got the gold star today.
You get the gold star. You're gonna be known as the smart one.
Okay, so Fight versus Flight. This is, I guess, what you would probably consider kind of like the title track.
Yeah, this is. I wrote right away. Pop exclamation mark.
Yeah. My first actually thought is that this song feels kind of like all over the place.
It's all over the place. It's just the house, techno, industrial kind of mix. There's some emo. There's some like spazzy, like what's that one band of Montreal spaz?
Yeah.
There's like some of that like
hyper pop kind of weird thing.
Yeah, early 2000s like electro clashy vibes.
Yeah.
Much different than the first song.
Much different. So I have no problem with like exploring like different genres and different styles, but for me, like this song and just kind of the whole record is very like lyric centric, and
definitely
when the music is kind of changing each time, I felt it was taking away from the actual message the song was trying to convey.
Okay.
I felt it was like a little distracting.
I see that. It's not entirely like an unknown convention in like proggy music to have deep lyrics, though.
Yeah.
Or to have a lot of lyrical content.
Yeah. I didn't really find this like proggy. I thought it was just like
this. You didn't find this song proggy?
No, I found it more like I'm trying out a bunch of different ideas, and they're all just going to be in this one song. Like, this seems like a very, like, lyrics first, music later kind of thing. Or, like, they had chord structure and lyrics, and then they just kind of were like, this sounds cool, let's just throw all these together.
I think it's like 100% top-down design, where there was a concept, and then we're going to write all these things about it and make it so it's all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, listener, I've used that term before, and I don't know if it's used in anything else. It's used kind of in game design, where like, okay, we had this idea where like the world set, we're going to like design this world and we're going to make everything fit in this world. Or you design a game and decide the setting later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh, I'm going to design these mechanics and math, and then we're going to make it set in space, and who fucking cares? Because that's not about that.
Yeah. I think
This was definitely like, oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. The juxtaposition of like, serious and like in-depth lyrics versus like style of music is not foreign to me. Like, again, like with Of Montreal, a lot of their stuff is like rather sad, but they have like a very like happy kind of sound. But to me, I think the shift of a bunch of different ideas felt like there should have been, like, it almost implies there's a significance to the sound change that would accompany like what the lyric is trying to say, and I wasn't finding any of those connections.
Interesting. The keyboard here sounds a lot better.
It does sound a little better, yeah.
Did you have that same keyboard problem with the first, or did you notice that with the first one?
I didn't. I think I was just overall just kind of like unimpressed with like the kind of the keyboard sounds.
Yeah, it kind of seemed it seemed kind of tacked on. I remember being like, I kind of wish that just wasn't on there.
Yeah.
This track here, Fight versus Flight, I think would be really good for remixes.
Yes, I mean, like that chorus. Like, I
know. I'm actually interested in getting your stems, Nate Johnivan. If you have these in stems and seeds, I want the stem for the vocal and like the guitar stuff. I think would be a really interesting.
Yeah, that would be
mix.
That's a great idea. I love that.
I want to see artists do more of that stuff, man.
I know,
Artists. When you put a record out, before you bounce it all down, or as you're bouncing it down, bounce down just the vocals, and then bounce down just the guitars, and then bounce down just the drums. All of them. Split those up in individual things, and then send those to people to fuck with the sound. And then we got remixes.
It's so fun.
It's amazing. And I think this almost kind of takes on, this almost sounds like it's already been remixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That,
like it's already,
it was like an acoustic track with like this lyrics, and then they just like, let's mix it up now.
It kind of has like a mashup-y vibe, you know? Which is something that I think we both used to like mashups to a certain extent. But it doesn't quite have the fun, Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily supposed to be fun, but it doesn't have the fun.
Yeah, I would agree.
Anything else about Fight versus Flight?
No.
Let's Red versus Blue. You want to go to Red versus Blue?
Red versus Blue.
This is where I think we're getting political, right? Red versus Blue, I think, is pretty obvious.
Yes. I actually, this is kind of where my comment of like the tones of the piano and guitar kind of got a little cheesy for me.
The what? The tones of the piano and the guitar?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't have that.
Yeah, it just felt kind of like unoriginal to me a little bit.
Yeah, it sounded like metal, hardcore, emo kind of.
And actually, speaking of that genre, I have a note that says reminds me of Desperacidos.
Yeah, there's a couple times I have that note on here too. There's a couple times where he definitely gets there. It is kind of a pan emo like kind of thing, and there isn't really a name for that kind of genre. Like there needs to be something for like 2001 until like 2011 emo.
Yeah, I feel like I just like refer to it as like by whatever record label they were on, like, oh, they're like a Saddle Creek band, or they're like a Barsuk band, or
that kind of makes sense too, because there was a whole or they're Fueled by Ramen. Exactly. Okay, so fine, this is kind of like that Fueled by Ramen emo then. You know, it's almost like Death, or not, what's that band, Fall Out Boy?
Yeah.
I get tinges of Fall Out Boy. I get tinges of like Juliana Theory even. I get tinges
of Jimmy Eat Worlds.
Yeah, definitely. But I do think like what's interesting is this album all kind of flows, right? And we kind of get to this, we go from like singer-songwriter poppy into like more dancey, kind of like, I use the word electroclash. I don't know if everyone remembers that short-lived genre. And then it goes into this like Fueled by Ramen style emo kind of stuff. And that's kind of interesting. It kind of evolves with the music. Maybe it evolved with their taste of what they liked, because this stuff's kind of throwbacky.
Yeah, it is. Full disclosure, I am familiar with Nate Johnivan's other band, Monkey Robot War, and they definitely are like more in that emo category. So this felt kind of more at home.
Okay. This sounded more like their work that you are already familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Is Nate Johnivan the singer of that band?
Yes.
He's got a good voice.
Yeah, he's got a great voice.
I still wish the vocals were louder on this. I'm still like wishing, where are those vocals at,
Yeah, I think it's not like a thing where they're like intentionally buried. I think just like the instrumentation kind of just took over a little bit. Like they're like on level with the instruments, where I think they need to be like on top a little bit.
I think definitely. And like if you were going to have this music be effectively listened to over a group of talking people, or in a bar, or like on anything in a movie, it's going to like kind of like just sound like so much music.
Yeah.
And not enough of the what you want to hear, which is the songs, which are actually some kind of cool, like some kind of well-written songs, I think, in my opinion.
I agree. Like Nate, I found like all these lyrics really. I think he's a great lyricist.
I think so too. I think it was this song "Red and Blue" especially is about like Red versus Blue is definitely about like some political strife between two different types of mentalities of people, and really pertinent to 2020. This is a really kind of 2020 feeling song here,
for sure.
Especially with the election, with the problems, just all sorts of different things. And this song kind of lyrically addresses a lot of issues going on in the country at that time. And that we're still. I mean, not like that time's over. It's still 2020. Right.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Fucking crazy. It's still 2020.
Liner notes actually says, just in description of the record, is just saying, holding up a mirror to the year of 2020.
Perfect.
So
100% perfect. Where was that at? In liner notes?
Yeah, on Bandcamp.
I don't disagree with that at all.
No, I think you really nailed it on the head with that.
Not at all.
Nate.
There's a nice range on the vocal melodies. There's some cool harmonies in here. I'm always kind of in awe of harmonies that don't make me cringe, because I can't do it myself, and I don't really like harmonies in general if they're bad, and they usually are. I
think that's with not harmonies, but like in terms of melody, with this vocal melody, with this whole record, I felt that was like the one thing that was like really holding me up from enjoying this record. Was I felt like there was kind of like a, maybe not lack of melody, but it was all kind of samey kind of like vocal melody, and like just very like minimal kind of like just like movement, I guess.
So that's a hard thumbs up, thumbs down then for me and you on the vocals. I have like specifically nice range on vocal melodies and cool harmonies.
I think like it's kind of has like this kind of breath, like kind of like every word just feels like it's so spaced out, and I feel like there's like maybe it's more of like a rhythmic thing. It's like I think that he could like kind of like squish together some lines to add like some more like rhythmic elements to it to help move the song more. But that's just kind of like how that was my kind of bugaboo, I guess.
Mm-hmm. This has like a really cool postmodern emo like edge to it that I think is interesting. I think this has been informed by emo bands that came before it.
Mm-hmm.
And like that's like we call that often like influence, right?
Or derivative, even.
Or derivative.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It's either influence or derivative. In my opinion, what's happening here is that they are taking a look at emo bands that were already experimental before them. Like, we're not looking at some like clear cut, this is the genre with these tropes and here it is. They're looking at other bands that have kind of like explored that notion already.
Yeah,
so I kind of
really
like that.
Point.
It's like a second generation.
Mm-hmm.
I also don't necessarily like this kind of emo.
Same. I think it's kind of again, it's like one of those things, kind of similar to my opinion with Bicycle Shorts, is that there are certain things where it's just it's hard to stick out a little bit, even when you're trying to be experimental. You're just going to be critical of this genre. Yeah, that's fine. I'm okay with that, because I think for me, it was such a, well, I don't know. I'm trying to think how to say this. I guess I'm just less critical on emo as a whole, because I already have a bit of like, it's sort of goofy already. I know that, for sure. Yeah, I think maybe because you're a little older too, like our experiences of emo differ a little bit because I came in kind of during like the hard like third wave of like Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, like Death Cab moving to major label stuff.
Right. And I came up in the era where people didn't even know what that genre was.
Right.
And they're like, emu?
Yeah.
Brian Eno?
Brian Emo.
Yeah, Brian Emo. We should make a band called Brian Emo.
We should really, if there probably is already, because that's such a good
well,
name.
I haven't heard of them. Who cares?
Yeah, we'll just make it better than them.
One of my favorite side note. One of my favorite things is when bands change their name because there's another no-name band with that same name, and they're like,
just be that band.
They're like, out of respect to this band that does nothing and is essentially camped on this IP, we will not do anything.
Yeah, just become bigger than that band. And
Exactly.
Then it's yours.
And then it's yours. Yeah. Nirvana did that. Right?
Yeah. I
Nirvana,
think so.
there's literally another band called Nirvana from the 60s.
Amazing. I love it.
Didn't matter. Didn't fucking matter at all.
No, they're just like, here we go. This is us.
I do have written here, this is cool. Like, I think it's cool. I think the music's cool, And like, maybe that's the like kind of cop-outy stuff that I tend to like write about sometimes, where it's like it makes me feel good,
Interesting.
This is cool.
This is cool.
Yeah. You ready to go to the next one?
Yeah.
Truth versus fiction.
My note says I like this one for the fact that it has a little more like breathing room. It's not so maximalist as like the past few tracks.
Yeah. Drum, key, sample, kind of DIY. It has that white rapper who makes hip hop, who makes indie rock, who makes hip hop vibe
like
to it.
Yeah.
What does this band sound? What does it sound like to you? What are you going to say? I think this sounds like.
I was gonna say like kind of the lo-fi bedroom pop.
Yeah,
like,
but what band specifically do you think I think this sounds like? Just curious.
Let me take a quick listen again, just to get
pull it on up. Truth versus fiction.
What does Julio think this sounds like? I like this game. Why? Yes. Nailed it. Awesome.
This band is influential, man. Like,
yeah. Why it comes up quite a bit in this podcast from Julio. I am not familiar. You need to make me another Spotify.
Why? Okay, why is varied. Can I give you like a 10-song one for this one?
Yeah.
Because they're oh man, I'm gonna give you not only why but just a bunch of anything that Yoni Wolf's been doing. Because I think that him and why and the stuff with Clouded, his work with Dose One, I think some of his weirder associated acts. Yeah, man, hell yeah. I love this band, and this band, it keeps coming up, man. I think this band was one of the most influential bands of the early 2010s.
Yeah, I'm just
late
like
2000s.
I'm just not familiar with them. I never kind of got on the Y train, so
man,
let me get on the train.
I think you will find yourself a little bit obsessed with them, and then
probably
it's great, dude. It's like they don't let you down, and they still have more music that is like interesting. I have to like always dive into their newer stuff, and it takes me a while. And eventually, I'm like, yeah, this band's really good. But yeah, this drums, key, sample, DIY. I think this guy's a strong songwriter.
Yeah, and I feel like definitely has like some songwriting chops.
There's such a difference when we listen to music with good songwriting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a hard thing to do. There's a difference, between making recording a song and then like writing a song.
And listener, like notice this different when you listen to this record, which I hope you've done. And if you haven't, please pause it, listen to the record, go back to the beginning of the episode, come back.
We're still here.
Welcome back. This record it makes you want to listen to it a little bit. Like, it's not like, oh, here we go, like here's some songwriting choices that I know are going to be a chore to be a part of. Like, it doesn't stop being catchy just to do some theoretical application of musical knowledge. Every part here is a little chorus. It does a little catchy thing you want to hear because it feels good and it makes your brain tingle and vibe, and whatever. And I wrote here too because this kind of, I think, relates to the guitar you were talking about. I have this music's cool because of how it makes you feel. And I'm not even getting into the musicianship of it all because it's largely irrelevant. Like, it didn't even like impact my enjoyment of this record was not impacted by the musicianship on it. Like, and it's largely irrelevant. And I'm going to listen to the song again. I did. I put it back on. I was like, that was cool.
Yeah, I really like that observation. That's actually, and I think sometimes I get lost in like that finding the balance between like listening to music and then like also reviewing music. They're like two different kind of things in a lot of ways.
Yeah, you and I have totally different approaches to things.
Yeah.
I was even thinking about how I think you think that opinions are more subjective than I do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think that you are more likely to be like, well, that's just an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Than I will be like, no, there's truth. There's like actual, like, you know what I mean? I feel like I'm more, not that we're like, not that we're totally on those extremes. We're much more closer than apart. But I think that you are more likely to be like, that's subjective. And I'm more likely to be like, it's objective.
Yeah, I would agree with that for sure.
But it's interesting though, because I'm also more likely to be like, I don't give a shit about that. I'm doing, how does it make me feel? You know?
Yeah.
Like I think I'm more prone to be able to get into that state than you are too.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I think
really,
like,
really
for me,
interesting.
my opinion, just in terms of like objective and subjective, is like, I think a lot of things are subjective, but I think the power of like what you feel is like objective. You know, like when you have an opinion, that's your truth. You know, it's not like you're saying like, oh, that's just my opinion. Like, I feel like there's just like 1,000 truths out there, you know. That's just kind of how I view it. More like, not like, oh, I feel this way and you feel this way. It's like, I feel this way and like I can't like unthink that. And then like, but there's also someone who feels the exact same way but about it differently.
Right. And the way that I would phrase that statement is like, yeah, there are people think there's truths, but it doesn't mean that they're right about that. Like some truths are more true than others.
Yeah.
You know, it's just which is great. It makes for good dialogue, actually.
Right.
Here I have written, this sort of sounds actually kind of a lot like why, actually. Question mark, question mark, question mark. And I'm going to I'll include the song I'm questioning that I was kind of like, about. But I like that band a lot. So.
From what you told me about why and what they sound like, I would guess that you're probably on the nose.
You don't know that band, and you guessed what I thought it sounded like.
Yeah. I think that's just because I know you, and like, that's pretty funny, though. I love that.
Yeah, and I think what I'm suggesting more is not that it's like that he's like inherently trying to rip something off. I'm saying that a lot of people have been influenced by this band, and I think we're starting to uncover it, especially with people amongst this age group who are submitting in West Michigan. You know, is it regional? Is it generational? Are they that good?
Right.
We'll find out.
Stay tuned.
I think about some Bright Eyes vocally stuff in here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it kind of has that like almost like tremble that like Conor Oberst has.
I'm not sure if that's from the next track or not, but I do notice that. We can jump into the next
That's
song.
it, yeah. Let's jump into the next one. Unless you have anything else for...
no, that's it. That's it. And
Fiction.
This song is way different than the rest of the album.
Yeah.
So, I like it.
But I'm glad it's on there, though.
I enjoy it.
I would say it's probably my favorite from the record. Next one is called United States of America versus Everyone. This one, I think, is like the most political.
Yeah, I have political record.
Yeah.
I like the trap snare. It's like a trap music snare in it. I like that.
Hold on.
It's like,
Julio like the snare.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Oh my God. You're right. That should get. What do we do?
Wow.
I need to like circle this whole phone on my desk.
Yeah,
Just get a marker,
exactly.
circle my phone, and take a picture of it.
Yeah, you might have done band scams first.
I like the trap snare. I liked it. That is true.
Right.
Good point.
Musicians, if you're looking to get a good review from band scams, just throw in a trap snare on a track.
Trap snare. Turn it up. Those rolls are like. I like that.
I think this one kind of suffered a little bit of like Brandino syndrome of like kid song kind of vibe.
Really?
Yeah, I kind of got, but like at the same time, the weird elements of like the emo kind of like singing, the emo background vocals was like really, I don't know. I thought it didn't really fit at all.
Okay. It didn't make you like it more?
No, it made me like it less. Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. I liked it, man. I have gripes about the keys. The vocals should be louder. It sort of got there, though, I think. And like, I wonder if it's a mastering thing. Why I don't like that way that first song sounded, because I kept. It's all one of those things where the first track I'm like, why? And the whole time, there's got to be something about the intro track of your record, like that. It sticks with you so hard that no matter how good the rest of your record is, I can't stop thinking about that intro song. You know, if I don't like it. If I like it, I'm cool. I don't like it. I can't stop.
Kind of happened with Koi Boy.
It was just the keyboards. Yeah, it happened with Koi Boy. Yeah, the album was so different than the first track.
that first track was jarring.
My brain just shut down. That's so funny. Yeah, there's 2 tracks here at the end that are like really different. There's that really political fucking what was the name of the song?
This one that we're talking about, or the
second to last one?
This is United States of America versus everyone.
Yeah.
And the other really political one is Red versus Blue.
Yeah. These are political. And that's not out of place, I don't think, in a 2020 release. So I think whether or not I want to listen to it is one thing. But like, man, at the time, shit was fucking crazy, man. Not even like
crazy.
4 months ago, shit was crazy. I mean, just less that way, but like, man.
But also shit is like super crazy still.
Man. It's so wild. It's just so off the wall. So I don't blame an artist for wanting to jot down their thoughts, because when are you going to have those thoughts again, you know? It's kind of more of the same. It's got a little bit more of like a hip hop edge with that kind of harder emo and rock stuff.
Yeah.
And then, anything else about that song?
I don't.
Okay. So the last song is like, he intros it with, these aren't my words or something, but I want to read them because they moved me. And it's a cool little poem over some instrumental music or a nice music. And it's nice. You know, I like poems with music in this way.
Me too.
I kind of wish they were his words.
I do too. I think like it might have been maybe more effective as just like if you put out a physical release being like, here's some like cool liner note thing that I found that like really inspired me. Or something. Yeah,
it kind of seemed like filler in a way.
Yeah, I see why he did it, just because of the whole like kind of 2020 reference of the whole album. Like musically, I don't know if it's like contributing anything to like the overall like arc of the record.
Yeah.
Lyrically, I think it fits the arc, but not musically.
Yeah, it's just kind of like this closer thing, you know. Yeah, I don't know. I think that it was a good attempt at something cool.
Yeah. Or maybe it could have just been like a weird like single he could have put out or something.
Yeah. I mean, this is like an EP, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't say it's an EP. I don't know what it classified it as on Spotify. But I think that it's fine. More music is a better, you know, who knows? I kind of have like about the last track.
Yeah.
It's a varied record. It's varied. It might be kind of inconsistent.
I think it's I definitely.
When do you think he recorded this?
I think it was recorded throughout 2020, and then I think there are some parts from 2019 as well.
Do you think it's all Nate Johnivan on it?
The liner notes in Bandcamp, it says Dustin Postuma added guitars and spattering other instruments on the first 2 tracks. Steve Sullivan added bass on the first 2 tracks. Neil Edbrook mixed track 3.
Okay.
So, but majority of it is Nate.
Okay. Well, it sounds really actually pretty good, you know, like sonically it's really full. It's ready to be played. Like if people liked it enough, this could be played on radio stuff and whatever.
Easy.
And they wouldn't get the comment of that sounds weird or that needs something on it, you know, like it's ready to go, right? Sonically, I think, in my opinion. Taste wise, you might not like how certain things sit, but I think like overall it's like a pretty pro sounding thing.
It's radio ready, yeah. And you'll remember from last episode, we talked about Easers, and Nate recorded Easers' record.
Oh, okay. Awesome. I didn't know that. So great. Yeah. And that sounds way different than this stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. It's nice to see a little bit of a range. Anything else you got to say about this record?
In terms of it getting there, I think that this is another one where we kind of are on different ends, where we kind of disagree. I think you like this one. And I didn't really connect with this one.
Yeah, I did connect with it, but I'm not sure I would like listen to it again. But I would listen to that fight songs like stems and like fuck around with those. I think that song has the potential to be like actually like a pop hit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like whether it's up my alley or not is kind of irrelevant to like I think that people would actually identify with that song, and it could be really cool. I like Why. That song's dangerously close to ripping them off. So we're gonna decide that. I'm gonna make you a mixtape with the song that I think.
Okay,
it sounds like it'll be the first song on there.
Yeah, I think for me, like I think the biggest gripe I have is that it just seems like every idea was just recorded and there was no actually thought to be of like the actual sonic construction of the song. I think lyrically it's very strong, but the actual sonic construction feels it needs some revision. And just
it kind of
time to think about like what is it adding to the song. Like, is it like helping the song be better, or does it just sound cool, or is it just something like you're kind of dabbling in?
Yeah, it's a bit
it's like unfocused.
I think so too, but I think that I think it's like pretty cool. It surprised me. I liked it more. I liked it more than I thought I would, and I liked it still more than even like with. Like I kind of keep an open mind even with these reviews, you know. I'm here to let you even persuade me that I'm wrong about it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And I think you even did a little bit here. I was even like, you kind of like persuaded me a little bit. Like maybe it's not as cool as I thought it was, but I think it's still pretty cool. I think people will like it a lot.
I think like there's, in terms of musicianship and like lyric writing and production, there's nothing wrong with it. I think it's just more of like reining in the ideas.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a little bit of like self-conscious vocal stuff going on here too.
Sure.
And that's just a fucking thing, right?
Yeah. So did it get there?
Did it get there? I think so. Yeah, totally. I think it's totally something that is a kind of cool artistic thing that they used 2020 and put this thing out during it. I think it's 100% like relevant.
I would say it got there in terms of like its message, but I think as like a collected series of like songs, I don't think it got there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You want to
give it a rating?
Do ratings? I think this. I'm gonna rate this spaghetti, but you've put the sauce in the noodles on the pot. You know what I mean? Like you're not serving like here's your noodles, here's your sauce. You mixed it all together, stirred it up, and then I go over and ladle that in my bowl.
Okay. I am going to rate this as like the hue of your socks after you mow the lawn. Like this light coloration of your white socks after you mow the lawn.
Listeners, let us know what you think about our assessment of this record. Thanks so much to Nate Johnivan for submitting. This has been like super fun to talk about. I was really surprised by it. I think it was fun. It made me chuckle, it made me giggle, which I don't know if that's what you're going for. So, but I did think that the political edge is really interesting and kind of hard to do. And approaching it at all is like takes a lot of guts, I think, because you stand to alienate potentially 50% of all people.
Yeah.
You know, when you take a political stance.
For sure. And like, I think with me, like writing political songs is like a difficult thing. And most of the times, like I find myself kind of eye rolling, and I did not have that at all with any of the political lyrics here.
No,
I thought they were all pretty on point.
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I get that. So that's successful, I think, too. Mm-hmm. Listeners, we're going to take a short break, and we're going to come back and talk about yet another West Michigan music release, this time from the year 2020. Stick around. Hello, listeners, and welcome back to episode 11.
That's a 1 and a 1 next to each other.
One. Yeah, I can't believe it.
I know, right? We're like now 2 episodes into double digits.
Yeah. Is there going to be a time when we stop patting ourselves on the back as far as how well we're doing?
Absolutely not.
Good.
Absolutely
not.
I
don't want that to ever end. It is April 15th. It is Thursday. It is 3:20 p.m.
Dang. Blaze up.
Yeah, Blaze pre-Blaze.
Pre-Blaze 320.
Dude, we captured that 311 on 311 day. Did you hear that in the episode? We on the Ryan Experience. We actually called.
Yes.
Did the time call at 311 on 311.
I love it.
Yeah, I think that was a good sign. We're here to talk about yet another record. One thing I wanted to address that I was thinking about is that a lot of what we're doing with criticism is all we're doing is talking about what there is to like and what there is to not like about a piece of work. We're just talking about what is the appeal, what's the unappeal, and that's really it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like our experience level of both musicianship or critiquing or listening to music is so irrelevant because of we've all experienced things that like we enjoyed with having no experience. I brought up film, I brought up food, you can like a thing and not know anything about it.
Absolutely. You and I, as in me and the listener, you and I are the same. Like we just listen to music the same way, really.
Right.
The only difference is that we're recording
we're recording and putting it out there for you to listen to for free or whatever. But we do have this perspective of like being in bands, being in the scene here, and that all that does is make it more interesting to listen to, really. It makes it niche, but like really, like you and I are both musicians, and I think sometimes we don't really talk about too much of the musicianship stuff as much as we could, but I'm not even sure if that would be interesting to listen to. You know what I mean?
I think it would only be interesting to musicians.
Yeah, which a lot of this is for the artists themselves too,
Yes.
So in a way, it does make it appealing, but I don't know. I just kind of wanted to, that was kind of on my mind this morning. It was like, all we're really doing is just talking about what there is to like and what there is to not like.
Exactly, and it's always going to be kind of difficult because music is like a form of art, but it's also a product.
Yeah, it's all these things. It's a way to express the inexpressible, but it's also you can express how it makes you feel, how that sublime thing, how did it make you feel, good or bad? And that's kind of what we get at the heart of here, and that's what I think is lacking in a lot of musical journalism at a local level, especially.
Yeah, I think. And we've said this many times, like as far as local music journalism goes, it's just saying there is music.
And like I think with our Patreon wars, we're gonna take a step further. We're gonna start criticizing the journalism here. We're gonna take a step further, and we're gonna like check out local spins, top local bands for the week every week. We're gonna check out lists. I talked to Ty Dykema from Sketchin' about doing a list.
Excellent.
My pitch was bands that Dan and Julio don't know about because they aren't cool enough or young enough to know about.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah,
that's good.
Because that's true, dude. Right? There's so many bands we don't know about.
So many.
And that kind of brings us to the next band. Ready to jump in?
Let's jump in.
This review is going to be talking about Quarantine Jams
with a Z
by Natural Body.
Released December 12th of 2020. So very end of 2020. To be full disclosure, Julio and I are both like, we're really looking forward to like reviewing this record.
Yeah, this is one that I was like, I hope, fingers crossed for the audience who can't see, I hope they submit because I want to talk about it.
And they did, thank God.
And I based that really only on one listen of this record. So this is one of the few records that I've listened to before we reviewed it, before we got it submitted. The other one is Captain Daddy. I listened to that before we had it. And you've had a few. I've had a few.
Yes.
How do I approach that phenomenon? Because you have more experience with this than I do. How do I fairly? Because like you know what I mean. You had time to assess how to approach a record you've already heard.
I think for me, it's I'm just like I listen differently for this podcast. So when I first hear a record, I'm not trying to review. I'm just trying to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And then when I'm listening to a record for the podcast, I have to ask myself, why am I enjoying it?
I think the first time I listened to this record, I did it purely out of enjoyment. It was a one-time listen. I actually broadcasted it over the Discord that is now Bandscamp's Discord. And I was like, hey, this new record came out, and I just kind of live streamed it to there, and people popped in and out and said hi, and everyone was like, about it. And I don't want to say what they said about it exactly because I don't want to give it away, but there was already I already had a dialogue going about this record before this, so that's also a thing I should give full disclosure about too.
Cool. Let's jump right into album artwork.
Fun art.
I To me, I think it's like a play on Sgt. Pepper's.
Okay, wow. I did not get that. That's really cool.
Yeah, because you can see like the kick drum and then like the name of the album or the name of the band and the grass and the kind of the crowd.
No
I'm
kidding.
pretty sure it's like a Sgt. Pepper's reference.
Okay, awesome. I did not get that, but it's definitely
Yeah.
it's like a pen or pencil drawing on white paper, black on white, and it's kind of a collage-y. Really cool. Let me pull that up. That's awesome. I did not.
Yeah, I
even
think
get that at all.
once you look at it, it'll be so obvious to you.
Okay. Yeah, I definitely can see that.
Yeah.
It reminds me of a lot of different like aesthetic art. It's kind of Daniel Johnston-y.
Mm-hmm.
It's like stuff that like a kid would draw on his like binder.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool though. I like it. It fits the music.
It's really cool. There's a lot of like kind of hidden goodies. So listener, go check out this record. It's only on Bandcamp. It's not on Spotify. So
It's not on Spotify. Okay.
Go listen to this. Go check out the album artwork. Pause it. Come back. Welcome back. I like that. I hope that works for somebody someday.
I know.
First impressions, track 1 and first
Track 1.
impressions.
It's called At Home. First impression. I love how jangly it is.
It's really jangly. This is like a jangly thing.
It's a jingly jangly, and I love jangle, and I love jingle.
I would say this vibe right away. It's chill.
Mm-hmm. I
It's
actually
got
have
a-
the word chill.
Chill vibe. It's kind of a low, kind of down vibe.
Yeah, short and sweet.
I listened to this record right away. The first time was on headphones, and I immediately switched to speakers, and I had a really much more enjoyable time listening to it on speakers on headphones. For what it's worth.
That makes sense to me, just because it is. It was recorded remotely through their houses. That's in the liner notes. They said
That
they
is,
recorded
yeah,
at their homes.
This was recorded in their own homes. There's no other liner notes. There's no who wrote the songs, who plays what. It says like recorded in our respective homes.
And shout out to Natural Body for being safe. Thank you guys.
That's amazing.
That makes me feel just like even better about loving this band.
It's so cool. I want to speak to this more, but off the bat, holy shit.
It's
right?
hard to record remotely. We tried it and it just didn't. It just doesn't really translate for us. Like
we just we just didn't have the urgency to put this out, but these people did. Natural Body had the urgency to put out a record during the pandemic and work on it during the pandemic in a way that was safe. Like you can't doubt the safety of this record.
Exactly.
And in a way, I think it pays off in like kind of what we're in store for.
Yeah, I think like because they did it safely, they made like a very unique record.
Mm-hmm. The album art kind of hints at like a DIY vibe, kind of a punk vibe, kind of an indie rock vibe, and that starts to come through right away. The song is jangly. It's kind of an upper mid-tempo pop, like kind of like 80s-y kind of sounding song.
Yep.
What's going on with the guitar tone? I want to ask you about what is that on the guitars that they're using? Chorus. That's what I thought too. But you're the guitar pedal person.
Yeah.
Like, tell us, listener, what does chorus do if you're able to describe it? I mean, you know what I mean? It's easy to like. I know what chorus sounds like, but what is happening?
It's actually a chorus is like technically a delay.
Okay, interesting.
It's kind of like basically doubles your signal to like imitate like a 12 string.
Interesting. It does have that. It gives that extra jangly. A lot of bands use it. The Cure used it famously. Nirvana, right? Did Nirvana use chorus?
Nirvana
all the
was
time?
a big chorus. Yeah, Kurt Cobain was a big chorus guy.
with distortion, right? Is that what it was? Or even even his clean tones sometimes have.
Yeah,
like
he usually used chorus or like a vibrato, which is chorus. The difference between chorus and vibrato is that chorus has some of the clean signal blend into it.
Okay.
Or vibrato is only the chorus effect.
You know what genre uses chorus a lot too is reggae music. Reggae and ska. The guitar has chorus on it. The ska, the upstroke has a chorus really hard on it, and so it's getting that really like snappy. It kind of adds a whole atmosphere to stuff, huh?
Yeah, chorus has kind of had a resurgence in the past like 5-6 years in dream pop and psychedelic music. So it is kind of like a polarized effect.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely like it can kind of lead, I think, itself to affectation. It's definitely not doing that here. It's sculpting this music in a really interesting way, in my opinion.
I agree. It's not like they're not trying to be like annoying about it. They're just saying like this is like how this song, like this is how like this is the sound that needs to be on these guitars for these songs.
Yeah, it has this like early kind of shoegaze vibe. It has like It reminds me of like some like kind of twee pop stuff, or even like the band. There's this band called The Clean. I don't know if you know them. They're
Yes,
from
I
New Zealand.
do. Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of reminds me of The Clean. The
Totally.
harmonies on it are awesome.
That's like, man, shout out to anyone who can do vocal harmonies. That shit's hard.
And I'm not even sure because they don't offer the liner notes. I don't know who's harmonizing with who. It could be one singer every time. I don't know, but the singer is varied throughout this record. And we hear for the first time this voice. And this is one that if you know their first records, you might know this voice is prominent. And I'm not even sure who sings this stuff.
I have no idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's post-poppy or post-poppy, post-punk pop kind of new wavy stuff. It's kind of like The Cure. I like this vibe.
The Cure has like reminds me of Talk Talk a little bit, and like Prefab Sprout, kind of bands like that.
Yeah, it's good, and the songwriting chops are on point. It's catchy, like every line's catchy, in a lot of this music, which I love that kind of that kind of approach where everything's a chorus.
Yeah.
Let's go into a negative.
I wish the vocals were louder.
I wish the vocals were louder. I wish there's some MP3 artifacting weirdness in here that would probably sound better in a wave format if I downloaded, I think. But I also suspect that it might just sound like that because I think that kind of clears up later on in some of the recordings. But there's something in here that is like something digitally went wrong in this first song. Yeah,
I would probably just chop that up to just just technical limitations. Through,
it could even be Bandcamp.
Yeah,
Bandcamp. I noticed I did a remix for something. And once it got published to Bandcamp, I like listened to it and I was like, this sounds wrong. And then I put it through my Tractory DJ software and it was bouncing like so small. You know what I mean? Where I knew I had this going to -0.1 and it was like, so something was going on. So it might
the compression
not be.
Algorithm in Bandcamp is not good.
Let's get this on Spotify or Tidal, y'all.
Yes, please.
Let's put it on something good that has better fidelity and then we'll know.
Cool.
Yeah.
Ready to next song or anything else for at home?
I do, man. I have a lot. I have more for this first track. I do. Is that okay?
Yeah.
It almost sounds like a 12 string. It's not a 12 string though, right? You think it's just
that's
a chorus?
The chorus effect?
That's crazy. I listened to this song 3 times in a row when I started doing this, and this might be a dense episode.
Let's do it.
I wish this recording sounded a little bit better. And this kind of is going to go through, but even on this song, like I think considering how it was made, it's kind of amazing. And there's this mood of acceptance and wonder, but not really like depression, and like it's like really fitting. And like from the get go of this track, I'm like ready for it,
Yeah, like it gets you pumped for the record.
Yeah, it makes you want to hear more.
Yeah,
so let's.
I think it's just like a DIY thing. It's like they're just like they probably I think like the lo-fi-ness kind of like actually adds to like the vibe.
It does, and I want to like put that statement out there just because that was the feeling I had listening to it at that time was like I just wish this quality was a little bit better. But yeah, the DIY thing does add to it in a really awesome way throughout.
Yeah, it makes it gives me kind of like the punk kind of vibe to it,
Yeah.
The punk influence.
Next song?
Yeah, let's do it. Hidden
This
Knife.
is gonna be a real piece by piece record,
Yeah.
I think. I think we're gonna go all the way through it. And I think that like we've gotten criticism about not going piece by piece, and the one that I think hit home the most was like you didn't go piece by piece. So we gotta make sure to stay consistent. Hidden Knife is this next track.
Love the synths.
Yeah, synth drum machines.
Love it.
Is it all drum machine? This whole record?
I think so.
I think so too.
And I'm very impressed by all the beats.
And I didn't really come to that conclusion until later, but since we're on drum machine, we might as well bring it up now. I think this might all be drum machine. Great programming.
It's really good programming.
Really tasteful programming.
It's very tasteful. It's it's realistic when it needs to be realistic, and it's machiney when it needs to be machiney.
This is like a kind of different sound. It's kind of in the same wheelhouse as the other one, but it's a little bit different. We're kind of heavy on the dream pop now. We're kind of heavy on like synth pop.
Yeah, we're in the 80s here.
Yeah, it sounds. I mean, it even sounds like throwback to 80s stuff, like synthwave stuff. Like even like kind of sounds like Joy Electric, like the Christian like Moog based band. I love the singer's voice here. It's charming.
It is charming.
Yeah, it's really charming. It's poppy. It doesn't have but no party vibe. We're not partying.
No, I'm just vibing in general with this.
Yeah, there's harmonies on here that are really nice,
They're really nice. I love it. It really the vocal harmonies for me and this band just really show me that they have a lot of appreciation for like early rock and roll from the 60s, like Beach Boys, Beatles.
It's really nice.
Monkeys, you know.
It's just nice.
Yeah.
You know? This has kind of a chill wave vibe to it, you know, and I think if we're going to start pinning down genres, I think that this might loosely fit into that genre, chill wave. If you don't know that genre, you can Google it, but I think bands like Neon Indian, which even this sounds like a little bit, Washed Out.
Totally.
What was that one, dude? Twin Shadow? Like, it has, like, kind of elements of that. Like, I don't know, but it has this like really cool like sonic quality, lo-fi quality that's like a little bit different than a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, it's got like it does like it sounds
more
analog,
homemade, and it sounds more homemade almost. Like that stuff has this like faux homemade quality. This stuff like actually sounds homemade.
Yeah, I'm wondering, and I hope that they can do a live stream recap, because I'm very curious about the gear, because the synth sounds are so good, and it makes me think that they are using hardware synths and not like plugins. So
it's really good. Like it sounds like 4-track cassette or like just like GarageBand, but then the synth sounds are like, whoa, these are really, really thick. There's some lush texture.
They're
There's
very
some
lush.
Like some of the textures are really intense, and then the songwriting on top of it is good and catchy. So it's like a really immersive listening experience in this record so far.
It's like very pleasurable in a way.
And we're just on track 2, and it's only like 4 minutes into this record.
Yeah,
I started dancing a little on this one too.
I was vibing. Yeah. I was a lot of head nods and just a lot of like,
man. So
eyes
far,
closed.
so good.
Yeah.
You want to go on to the next track?
Let's do it.
Autobody. Yeah.
It's got auto tune.
Yeah. It's auto tune's an instrument in this one. We have more drum machine. Woo. It's kind of a trippy, cool vibe. It's up.
Yeah. I actually get even more Beach Boy vibes with this song.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Beach Boys. You know, I could see Animal Collective a little bit. In it, which is that's a band that I actually don't like. I
don't like Animal Collective.
I find them
either
scary. I think their music's kind of psychotic sounding.
Yes, thank you. Okay.
I don't know what it is, and I think this has a little bit of that psychosis kind of feel. It's kind of Radioheady a little bit. Like it reminds me of like some stuff on Amnesiac, or even some of the ideas on Kid A, but it has like more Amnesiac vibe to me for some reason.
So let's talk about a question I wrote about this album concerning you. I said, would Julio consider this album psychedelic?
Yeah, definitely. 100%. 100%. Good question.
Yeah.
This is a fucking band, man.
Yeah. It is like psychedelic, man. Like, it's wild.
Yeah, there's this pulsating beat that's trippy. There's harmonies that are beautiful and reaching, and when they reach these peaks, your brain, you can kind of just feel the fucking energy like going on top of your head. You know, I don't even believe in that kind of shit all that much, but like you get these tingles that like audio sensation can trigger in you. You know, maybe it's just like ASMR or whatever, but I don't know. And what also contributed, I love like not knowing what was going to happen next with this band. By track 3, every track's been kind of varied but good in a way where you're like, I don't even know what they're going to do next. And that's psychedelic too.
For sure. And especially being familiar with their previous tape that they put out, this is kind of like a vibe change for them.
Yeah, that one's much more consistent in tone. It still is pretty varied. That record is also pretty deep.
Varied, but like this is like definitely kind of like a shift in like a style a little bit, but at the same time you feel like it's the same band, you know?
Yeah, it's a shift in style, it's a shift in philosophy, and I love not knowing what's going to come up. But I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
but I don't have that tension of some of like the other try hard kind of garbage where you're like, like what are they gonna do now? You know what I mean? That never happened with this band until maybe the very ending of the record.
Yes, I agree.
We'll get to that when we get to it.
Okay, we'll get to that.
This is a band, man.
This is a band.
I put headphones back on. They sounded good. There's some hand claps. I wrote, "What is this band smoking?" That's the first time I've had that question.
Wow.
On anybody's stuff have I been like kind of impressed about some of the mental fortitude of what's going on with this. Like, wow, this is a little diabolical. You know what I mean?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that I think means something.
Cool. Yeah, I think the autotune is like I'm torn with it because like I'm still kind of curious on what they're saying, and it was like pretty heavy on the autotune to the point where I couldn't really understand what they're saying. So I just had to like treat it as an instrument more and just like it's holding.
It was obscured a little bit, like the vocal, the lyrics, right?
Yeah.
There's some good hand claps in here. I don't know, man. This song is a fun little thing.
It's so fun, and like a lot of times I couldn't really tell what they're singing about, but like, I would catch the little words, and I was like, oh, I think they're having a really good time, and like I think these songs are actually like really funny at times.
Oh yeah. Anything else about Autobody? At this point in the record, listener, I actually need to reference because I there's so many songs in this record that I gotta hear just a second of everything before we keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all right? Let me.
Yeah.
This one's Jig.
Jig.
The jig is up. I know he says at one point.
Uh-huh. This one's so good.
Jesus.
So for this one, this is like the point in the record where I'm like, I was in, but like now I'm in.
Yeah, it's so chill. It's so good to listen to. The drum machines sound like just like, they sound so
chef's
good.
kiss.
Good vibe. The vocals came up a little bit. Here we go. I think we're on a different vocalist, possibly.
Yes, I said vocals mix well in this one. Gives me some like solo Paul Westerberg vibes. Like like his solo career stuff, like 11 songs or whatever.
It's great. What a lucky band where they have like potentially 4 or 5 songwriters in this band. I'm starting to suspect because of how varied the musical choices are, but how they kind of just go along with it. You know what I mean? Like this has this like really good, like even 90s, 80s throwback. You know what I mean? It has like that like 90s. It's 90s, but we're trying to look like we're from the 60s, but we actually sound like we're from the 80s. It's kind of cool going on here.
Yeah, it's like kind of dream poppy, shoegazy.
Yeah.
But like you can still, they have like a lot of like classic influences, but they're also trying to like make like, make it kind of vibey and dancey a little bit.
Yeah, there's really a lot of recording creativity here, which is amazing because it's recorded remotely. So for these ideas to come across, they're like really confident in their own ideas that they're putting across, and that comes across. I don't see a hint of fucking self-confidence issues or self-doubt or self-consciousness in this record. Like it seems like they kind of just went for it 100%, knowing they don't care what other people even think about it. Almost.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like that. The concept of self-confidence like didn't even like really come into the conversation with them. I think they're just like, hey, we just, these are like really fun jams. Like we should absolutely record these, but like let's put some work into it. Yeah.
Oh, they put so much work, but they're not playing that game at all. They're not trying to like. They didn't make this record to stay relevant. They didn't make this record to like get their name across, and because they're bored not playing shows. No. They didn't make this record because people aren't like showering them with fanfare, and they like need that. Like they put it out as artists.
Yeah, they're quarantine jams. That's what they are.
This album is a 2020 release, authentically through and through.
Yes,
like lyrically, emotively, I think it's all fucking spot on.
If I had to like say like the definitive album to like describe 2020, like
locally,
like this is like what should have happened for all artists. Is like,
I think we're here, and I think this is going to rank high amongst our rankings. At least speaking from this point right now.
Yeah.
Like this is kind of like, yes, these are goalposts that like I want bands to hit. And it's not the style, it's not this thing, it's not the lyrics, it's just all these things combined are presenting us with a really easy to enjoy package, in my opinion.
I agree.
Man.
Jig.
Cool.
Oh no, that was
that was Jig. That was Jig. Yeah, that was Jig, yeah.
Okay.
You want to go to Anemic?
Anemic, yes.
I gotta hear this fucking one too again too. I can't even. There's so many, and these songs are all so short.
Yeah. Listeners, there's 17 songs on this record, so this is probably So this is our first instrumental one on the track, or on the record.
Yeah, there's only a couple instrumentals, but here is one. Oops.
My first note is these are the synth sounds I dig. Like I'm there, man.
They love it. They sound pretty analog-y, right?
Yeah, I feel like they're using hardware.
Yeah, like it's like a mono synth of some sort. I feel like
it's sick.
Yeah, it's a good choice, and I'm like, man, I am noticing that I am really picky about keyboard sounds, and I
too.
don't really have any like real reason to like have any authority in that, but I know I don't that it can turn me off so fast, and I'm not even good. I'm not good at recording keyboard. I'm not good at playing it. I'm not good at like knowing what sounds good, but I know when I don't like it, and these ones are awesome.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, you know what you like, and I think right now it seems like you dig like the analog sound.
Oh yeah, this has a really good like dark wave kind of like feel to it. Like
Cold wave.
Let's talk
vibe.
influences: new wave, punk, twee pop,
Yeah.
synth pop.
No wave, cold wave.
Yeah, the chill wave, 8-bit video game music.
Uh,
You know, like I feel like there's a lot of kind of video game music inspired stuff with this track, especially. You know, just kind of pushing what kind of band they are. Like they like before this, I wouldn't have said they were an electronic music band, but this right here is like basically that.
exactly. My only kind of complaint with this one is it feels like incomplete.
I kind of wondered that too.
Do you think it stops abruptly, and I think they.
Do you think there was vocals? Do you think there was vocals at one point?
I think they tried to put vocals, and none of it worked, and they're just like, "All right, we'll just throw up like this kind of short jam."
Cool, listener. What do you think? Email us at bandscamps@gmail.com.
Okay.
Want to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right. I need to.
Let's refresh here.
Yeah, we have
I'll
to.
do it this time.
Okay. Oh yeah. What does that remind you of?
Hold on. Casio tone for the Painfully Alone.
Yep. Sounds like that. It sounds kind of like just like more video game music.
Yep.
Like end credit music or like even opening credit music. Do you think they were playing a lot of video games during 2020?
If you weren't playing video games, I don't know how you were.
Yeah, I don't know how you. I don't know. Yeah, what you did if you weren't playing any. You're right.
Like I'm not even a big gamer, and I bought a Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, you are now technically a gamer.
Exactly. I don't have any notes for this one because I was just like at this point I was just like listening. I was just like really, I kind of like put my phone down at this point, and I was just like enjoying it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's fine. I can carry this one a little bit. I got this kind of has like a cool like pan-decade synth pop vibe to it. You know, we're kind of like looking at the concept of like these kind of punk bands who started turning to keyboards for inspiration or as an instrument or as a tool, and sometimes that happened without their input. You know what I mean? Like I think Joy Division was one of those bands where they recorded it. Or is it Joy Division or New Order? I don't know. I'll fact check it later. But like, they recorded their like punk band, and the guy was like, "Oh, I added like keyboards and drum machine and shit to make it sound better." And they were like, "That? Why did you do that?" And then it became popular. Like they didn't want that stuff. And there's mixes that don't have the stuff on there. Yeah. And like literally, the guy who recorded them was like, "I just wanted to spice up your music by using this new technology." You know, that happened with Steely Dan. The song "Babylon Sisters." They invented drum machines to like fucking play the song because no drummer could play it right, you know?
Yeah.
And all the time, it is kind of a punk idea to use drum machines, but I feel like back when I was a kid, like drum machines were like, no, those were like cheater sticks, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
What was that? It was just too new?
It was just too robotic, you know? It was like too precise, you know?
And then flash forward, 20 years, and it's a major part of almost every music.
Exactly.
If you're not using electronic instruments, you're kind of an outlier nowadays.
Yeah, like you better be making some like really good rock and roll.
Yeah, it better be like, it has to be like so authentically rock or authentically blues or country or whatever. So like this kind of like sounds like the kind of greater synth pop movement that is happening in GR and has kind of been happening for a while now. There's all these bands that kind of pick up hardware, that pick up software and produce their music on that, and they're totally content and happy with expressing themselves through that. Stepdad is kind of one of the bands back in the day, and this song I think has some heavy Stepdad vibes to it.
Sure. Just coming from like a more producer like side of things, I kind of got into synths just out of necessity during quarantine because I found them much easier to record versus recording guitar, because for guitar to sound really good, you kind of have to turn it up loud, and it's just not easy to mic an amp and then get it to sound good. Where since you can go directly in add some plugins and stuff, and it's just a quieter and easier way to like record music.
Totally. I love synths. I love keyboards, and I talked about this. I love where they take your brain. You know, when you hear a guitar, you kind of envision some dude playing guitar. You know,
Yeah.
And when you hear a keyboard, you could be hearing like a mountain explode, or like you could be underground or underwater in a you know what I mean? There's so many different
Absolutely.
things that a synth can make you do, and this band does a really good job with these synths.
Yes.
It's the first instrumental. It kind of sounds like Postal Service too, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like this record so far.
Me too. I love it.
Shall we move on?
Yeah.
Heartbreak. You got it pulled up?
Heartbreak. Hang on.
These will be good for the Patreon video feeds. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Dude, when this song
Come on. It's so sick.
what does this remind you of? You know?
Roxy Music.
Okay, there it is. That's exactly it. Man, the song's called Heartbreak. These vocals
sounds
are
like
awesome.
Brian Ferry.
The vocals are awesome. The delay is great. More
Yeah.
80s. This song is so very 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of wrote like interesting track. Gary Newman, Talking Heads, Depeche Mode, Genesis, and you're right, Roxy fucking music.
Yeah. This one's like, I feel like the most chaotic of them all though. It gets kind of crazy.
It's intense.
Yeah.
I wrote this is intense music.
Yeah, I feel like in terms of like how it fits in the record, it probably could have been cut, but I do love this
Really?
song.
I would cut other songs before this one. I think this is a strong song. I think I wrote on here. This is my favorite song so far, I think.
I feel like it's like so strong though. Like I feel like I would just want it to be like a single. And just
Okay.
like,
I could totally. I have this is great. It reminds me of Joy
Yeah.
Division a little bit too. I mentioned them earlier, and I have this band is fucking weird.
it is weird.
What are they smoking? That's what I want to know.
Exactly. Yeah, but big Roxy Music, Brian Ferry vibes.
That's
Big Talk vibes.
yeah. Talk too. That's very succinct. I was looking for '80s bands that have kind of the lower vocals, and I kind of came with like Depeche Mode, and even like Joy Division-y a little bit has
Sure.
that. This is such a varied record.
It is wild.
Yeah, listener, please listen to this record.
Yes,
All right, you want? I don't
Yep.
have any.
that's all I have to say for
That song,
Heartbreak.
I think stands on its own. Like
Yeah,
the more I say about that, it was funny. That's a funny
Yeah.
song.
Just nerd thing real quick. I feel like they probably used a Yamaha DX7 on this, and I hope they can confirm that for me.
How can you tell?
It's just like that kind of chimey piano sound. That's like
Is that like an FM synthesizer?
yes.
Okay. So, and let me see if I know what that is.
Uh-huh.
Does it somehow use FM radio signals to generate the original tone, and then you manipulate that? Is that what happens?
Pretty much, yeah. You basically are using other frequencies to manipulate other frequencies.
And that has a very specific style of plunky tone to it. That when I was younger, there's a lot of music that are written with this. In R&B especially, there's a ton of R&B that uses this keyboard, right? And I remember being like, why are they using that tone? Like, it doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it was like the premier sound when it came out.
It's what they
though.
had.
Yeah,
That was what they had. They're like, well, if you want to do a chord, you have to generate it through this FM frequency, right?
Yeah.
And then do this. And I remember when I was younger always being like, oh, there's that fucking keyboard tone again, thinking
Yeah.
that was so funny. And now I know why. And now I've come to appreciate it.
Same.
And especially in more like up R&B or hip hop tracks that have it, I'm like, oh, there's one of those.
it's so fitting. Now.
Totally. Yeah, one of the Subtle Bodies, we used one. We had that in our rig.
Oh man, I forgot about Subtle Bodies.
I still have those masters. There's some weird stuff on there. Maybe we'll put
Maybe
it
the
out.
patrons can.
Patreons, maybe we can put it out on Grand Rhapsody too.
Ooh, love it.
Put out the unreleased EP.
Nice.
Let's
Next
go on
song.
to what's this called?
Lament Party.
Lament Party. Female vocals.
Yes, this is the first one with the Jolene singing.
I wonder if that auto-tune one was Jolene as well.
Oh, it might have been. Yeah, that's good.
Auto Body.
That's good. Yeah.
I don't know why, but that one seemed feminine to me. You know what I mean? And Jolene's a new member.
Yes.
Yeah. There's some female vocals on here. It has kind of a cool vibe. It reminds me kind of like the vocals remind me of what's her name from Velvet Underground, Maureen. I'm not sure the last name.
Oh, I don't
there.
know. Yeah. I thought this one was probably a weaker one on the record, though, just in terms of how the vocals were recorded. They're just like, It sounds pretty lo-fi.
I do wish these vocals were recorded a little better. I think I feel about that about a few songs in here. It's a very fine line, but this one crosses that line.
Yeah. And I think in terms of like actual singing, like it doesn't have like the melodic energy that we've heard so far in the record.
Right. And I think I'm okay with that because I say they're like, oh, Velvet Underground, Maureen vocal, you know, and she doesn't sing with all that much enthusiasm and any of that stuff, you know.
Right.
And so I kind of was like, maybe it kind of has this like vibe like that. But I worry that it was rushed and that it could use like 2 more takes maybe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Still, I don't think it's the weakest song.
I don't think it's a bad song though. I think it's a good song. Still.
You said you think it's one that could be left off though, right?
I do.
Yeah. Okay. So I wouldn't even put it in that category yet. There's other ones on this record that we haven't gotten to yet. I put there. Anything else on this one? Man, we're like zipping through this shit.
Yeah, are we in this Unscampy Valley?
we know we're not in Unscampy Valley. We're past it. We have more to talk about. I'm saying that we're zipping through it because we know there's so much to talk about.
There is a lot still.
I mean, we're just talking about the song. We haven't talked about the work as a whole, even hardly at all. So no, I think we have gone beyond the Unscampy Valley. I love that.
That's so funny.
I love that. I'm gonna get a big thick.
We gotta get that as a t-shirt.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, t-shirts are coming soon. So listeners, listen. Hopefully by the time you hear this episode, we have them ready.
Yeah.
Unscampy Valley. We're just blasting through. The next song is called Mudhouse.
My note I have is spooky.
It is spooky.
Right? It's spooky.
Here's the punk and post-punk edge coming through.
Yeah.
Can we play it? You got a little clip?
Mm-hmm. I mean, like Danzig, right?
Yeah, it makes me want to put on my studded choker.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, this is kind of a commentary on like man versus machine. This whole record starts to like with this it has a really industrial vibe, which is also very on point thematically and also like with the 80s-ish early 90s vibe. Like post-punk, industrial, man versus machine. Will technology get us through this pandemic? You know what I mean? It almost seems like they're almost merging with technology in a way on this record, which for a band that was primarily guitar based, kind of, I guess you'd say like indie rock punk band, they're really kind of merging with electronics here a lot. A fucking lot.
I'll say this though, like I think this is kind of like a turning point in the record, and I think like
in a good way or a bad way.
And neither. I think it's a turning point in like they kind of shift more towards the guitars a little more, kind of starting after this song.
Did they ease them back? They like start easing them in the harder, more rock and roll, I guess.
Yeah.
Right?
Or more guitar centric a little bit.
It's all been punk.
Yes.
You know, this whole record's been punk when you boil it down to. It's been things that are punk and things that came right after punk. And so you cannot, there's nothing about the stuff that came before punk.
I mean, Mudhouse, like it's less than a minute. What's more punk than that?
Yeah, all these songs are very short in a really nice way. Like what's the message here, you know? Is now that we start getting into this industrial stuff, I am for some reason like I'm like, ooh, is it a man and machine? You know, they've merged with technology to get us through their problems by recording remotely and using that as a tool. But is this even unified top-down design? Like we talked about the last record, I said top-down design. Is this some kind of unified, let's make a record about this? Or did it just happen to be that the record's about this because of when it was made and how it was made, you know?
I think on the latter for sure. I think they just adapted, you know, and they're like, this is like what we're into, this is what we can do successfully, and then from that, like a really like a apparent and strong message of like technology in being isolated came through.
I feel like this record has a ton of potential to gather like tons of lore about itself. You know what I mean? Like,
sure,
if this thing got big, there'd be people like being like, how do they do this? What are they doing here? Who did this? And I think like they should leave that all mysterious. You know, I'm gonna pry it out of them, but I think they should like be like, we don't want to tell you who did what.
Yeah, like if you were to tell me like Natural Body is like a fairly newer band, I'd be kind of shocked because like the album feels like almost like an anthology. kind of like you kind of feel like you're looking at a whole career of a band.
Yeah, or it seems like record number 4 or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It seems like, oh, this is their weird one that they did after.
Yeah.
This is the album they do after OK Computer,
Right.
Or after this is probably their OK Computer, dude.
Yeah.
It's probably not even their Kid A or anything. This is probably just like the OK Computer for them. The next one's going to be even fucking weirder.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Get weird, guys.
Next track?
Next track.
Illusion.
Let's see here. This one feels the most kind of like classic natural body.
Yeah. It really does. Really short song. It's fun. They kind of taken their own song and morphed it around, Yeah.
What's not to like about that?
Yeah, that's their band.
Yeah.
This is where I wrote, is this all drum machine? I need to pay attention more to that. And I think that it is, right?
I think it is, but it's really well done programming.
Yeah. I didn't even notice it until this track. I didn't even notice that we were doing anything like that.
That's very impressive.
Oh, totally.
Just because it's not the same beat throughout the whole song. They're adding variation.
Yeah.
There's a little swing. It's really nice.
This band packs it in. Mm-hmm. Short song, short review. What do you think?
Love it.
Cool. Reconcile?
Moving on.
Reconcile. Yeah, we've been talking almost like 40 minutes, I think, already about this record. So this is not a short episode.
Song 11 out of 17.
God. Here we go. Reconcile. This band, sounds like they're kind of from the past. There's a retroness about them,
My note for this says sounds like Big Star.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember this one. It's vintage. They're not trying to be retro though. I don't necessarily think.
I think I don't think they're not derivative at all. They're just really it's just influence, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, but then I said maybe they are trying to do that, and maybe they're just really leaning into it. Maybe
that's the way to go.
Maybe they're just not resisting the things that are sometimes this kind of genre does this one thing that might not make sense until you do it. And you're like, okay, lean into it. Mm-hmm. It kind of sounds like Screaming Trees. It kind of sounds like Magnetic Fields a little bit. Polaris almost.
Oh, yeah.
Psychedelic Furs,
Sure.
I mean, it literally, this could be on the Adventures of Pete and Pete soundtrack,
Totally.
I wonder how shaped by that stuff. Because all those bands I named, I think a lot of them are on that soundtrack, on that show, and it all has this 90s, but reaching back,
Yeah, it's this it's grungy, but it's dreamy. Kind of like a sense of innocence, carefreeness.
It's real great. So, do you want to give it a real quick refresher lesson?
We were just talking about Reconcile. The next one is Circles.
Okay.
Reconcile is the Big Star vibes one. So.
Oh yeah, Circles. I have written here, and Dan explained what's going on with the guitar. We kind of talked about that.
Yeah, with the chorus effect.
Yeah.
Let's play a little bit of Circles.
Sure.
Man, though the drum beat and bass line that when it comes in is so sick. I got physically amped up.
It's really nice. I wish this stuff was on Spotify because I had to
Me too.
I had to be oh, the song's not playing. Every now and then Bandcamp just poops out on you, and it just was not playing the tracks, and it kind of messed up the flow because there's so much good flow on here.
Yeah.
Do you think this band has songs they left off this record?
Oh yeah, I feel like they're probably pretty prolific and just can write a lot of songs.
I wondered if they just left off songs or if these are all the songs they did, because they're all the songs they did. It's pretty good. They left songs off. It's wow, I'm curious to hear what they didn't include.
So far with Circles though, it's my favorite song of at least the second half of the record.
Yeah, it's another banger. That's what I have written here. It's chill wave. This is a chill wave band.
I actually get like some Pujol vibes from it too.
Oh,
though.
interesting.
Yeah, just kind of like that. Like there is that still like that punk energy in it. So like kind of anthemic, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that like the more with this record, I kind of just that's the label I'm putting on it is just kind of chill wave.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like a yucky sounding like label, but I think it's only because it's so new.
Yeah, it's very like bloggy.
Yeah,
you know?
And I'm not saying it's like new, like relevant new. It's within the last like 15 years or whatever, but it's still for probably not even since like 2009.
Yeah, it's just buzzy. Yeah, a buzzword.
I mean, it's like a 10-year-old word, but
yeah,
I think that music terms always feel new until they're like 25 or 30 years old, and you're like, oh yeah, I know what drum and bass is.
For sure. And like I think like certain genres, like they will change over time. Like, you know, when we say emo, like there's so many bands now that we call emo.
Mm-hmm. I have written there's emo in this too, in this music. It's dense.
Yeah.
It's a dense record. Maybe it's kind of hard to talk about. I wrote that, but we haven't had a hard time talking about it. But no. I did write that maybe it would be.
I was, you know, at first seeing like 17 songs, it's pretty intimidating. Agreed. But every time the song would end, I was like, I want more. I think that's a testament to the songwriting.
Definitely. I kept wanting to put my phone down and listen, you know. I take notes. Now I type faster out like this with my thumbs than I do writing with my hand. Like when I write with my hand, I start not being able to read what I wrote. And so when I type, I can always read it. And so I always have my phone in my hand. And so many times I was like, I put my phone down and kind of just like laid back and closed my eyes and listen. I was like, no, you have to actually write down stuff because you're going to blank on the taping if you don't.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's a really good thing in a record to have happen. That's really good. Like, honestly, most people don't listen to music by taking notes, and most people aren't like, what is this good? You know, they just listen to it because it feels good. And like this song's another really good breakout track. Cool ending. Yeah. I kind of feel like people are sleeping on this record.
I know. It kind of makes me sad.
It makes me sad for a lot of reasons. Like this is not, there's so many bands right now that are just in your face trying to sell mediocre garbage to you in like a really irresponsible way. And they're trying to sell it to people who like honestly don't give a fuck, who are just also just kind of like dumb chuds who like don't know any better and who straight up don't care and aren't even going to be a fan, you know. It's just like, and this band is not doing that. This band made like a massive artistic statement, did it with little fanfare or promo or social media presence and without potentially endangering anybody, and that's like fucking massive.
Yeah. That was the original kind of start of band scamps, is like, let's talk about 2020 records because a lot of things were overlooked, and this is like the prime example.
Yeah, I'm serious here. Like some people during this pandemic can't even shit out anything but unlistenable garbage while getting together unsafely. Yeah. And then this band does it all remotely, puts out like something really brilliant, and they did it because they're good.
Yeah, and no one cares apparently.
And no one gives a fuck. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. I that's kind of a mid rant there. I'm not even sure what brought me to that, but like it almost made me angry hearing how good this song was, you know? Yeah. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I still kind of feel that way about this record. I kind of feel angry about how good it is. You know, maybe I'm jealous about it, you know? Jealous it's that good.
Yeah, like this is like one of those bands like where I think both you and I would be like, can we be in your band?
I think I tried to like ask at one point, they had a member leave, and I was like, so what's the plan with you know, filling that spot?
That's right.
You know, I first heard this band, I was at a house show and I came late, and Dan Weir was there. And maybe I'll do a Dan Weir voice here. He was like, oh, you gotta hear this band. You gotta hear this band. You gotta hear them. Like, and he like was like, okay. He's like, no, go buy a CD. And he made me go to the merch table, and I was like, okay, you know, usually like, oh yeah, cool. Like he was like, no, he like grabbed me and like made me go buy a CD, and I bought it and I took it home and I listened to it, and I was like blown away immediately by their first little demo thing. Yeah, and it's so funny that like he was an evangel of this band before I even heard about him. That's great. That's a really good like that you nailed like the vibe of Dan. Oh, I'm as close with Dan as I am with you. You know what I mean? I might even be closer to Dan. I don't know. I think you guys probably change position on any given day.
For sure.
But Dan also, you know, he understands me and I understand him in a way.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that is Dan, dude. But he was so into this band. So into it.
That makes sense for Dan. This seems like a Dan band.
Totally. It seems like a band for anybody who likes music.
Yeah. Do you like, listeners, do you like music? You might like this band.
Yeah, I hope they do. I hope there's like people that like don't like the music part of this show that just like hearing us talk.
Yeah. Just like our shows, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're going to get there, huh? Is that
Yeah.
really? Well, I don't care for the music reviews. I like everything else. I like the bonus content.
That's I can live with that, I guess.
But
for
like,
now.
this record does like make me think this is a good band.
Yeah. I agree.
It's that simple.
They shouldn't be a sleeper, but here they are.
Yeah. So listeners, please check it out. You want to go to the next song?
Let's move on to the next song. Man, I just I just have to say this one note. It just says guitar solo ! And that means I really like the guitar solo.
That's all you have for the song?
And as I said, I love how shoegazy it is.
This is World is Changing. This one kind of
Set Free.
Oh, Set Free.
Yeah.
Did I miss a song on my thing? Yeah, this is when I was ranting there about it, this album being really good. I'm talking, this album made me have that rant, so that'll be easy to edit.
Sweet.
This band, like, has some, like, really intense lyrical content that are you recording right now?
Mm-hmm.
This band has some really good lyrical content that is hard to explore because of the lack of lyrics in the liner notes, you know?
I know. This is really one of the times where I really wish the lyrics were there.
I thought you would think that when I was looking through, and I was looking for credits, not like liner notes, and when I clicked, I was like, ooh, no lyrics either.
Yeah, I kind of get why they didn't do that. I mean, like, they've just kind of been a band where, like, here's some tunes, like,
I go either way.
Give credit where the credit's due, you know, and then that's it.
I go either way with it, really.
Yeah.
But really good.
Yeah. I love how shoegazy Set Free is. I love the guitar solo in it. It's probably my second fave after Circles.
Awesome. There's some really good songwriting chops on here.
Yeah.
Should we go to the next one?
Yeah.
World is Changing?
Yeah, World is Changing.
World is Changing. I kind of started changing my opinion about this record on this song, I think.
Same. My note is just meh.
Yeah. I said, okay, this song is whatever. Maybe could have been left off. Hopefully it's short.
Yeah, it's definitely another one where I was like, all right.
The message is great.
Mm-hmm.
And all these lyrics are about 2020. You know, nobody's getting funky with anybody.
I'm glad that we picked two records that are about 2020.
They really are.
Directly.
Yeah, we got really lucky with that. Like, nobody's freeing their mind. Nobody's having a good time. Like, people are frustrated and angry. And like, this is kind of a song about that sentiment, in what I could gather.
Yeah, man, 2020. Like, sometimes I have to stop myself from thinking about it because the fact that it's happening and it happens is kind of mind blowing.
Yeah,
and that's just, it kind of freaks me out sometimes.
It's hard to face, and it's probably even harder to make art about it. You know, so there's so much credit to be given for that too. Mm-hmm. This song has, you know, we just more drum machine, but there's an approach to the drum machine here that I find really off-putting.
Let me take a quick listen again just to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, for sure. This one's got a bit of a swing stutter to it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of got that Fresh Prince kind of thing. It has a little story. Yeah.
It has a deliberate. It's a deliberate swing beat that reminds me of when in the 80s and early 90s there was a whole bunch of hip hop music that was made by people who were only vaguely familiar with hip hop. Like, they never heard hip hop or rap music. They only ever heard someone describe it to them. You know?
Yeah,
and they're like, oh yeah, I'll make that.
That's easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It caused listening fatigue on me, and that's the first time that happened with this record to me.
Yeah. I think had the beat been less swingy, it would have been a pretty good track, but that beat is kind of
totally.
it's amped on the cheese. A
Yeah.
lot of cheese on that one.
It just caused listening fatigue for me, and I wrote, I hope this song ends soon. Oh, it did. Then it ended. You know?
That's the lovely thing about short songs. Always
they're
write
all
short
really
songs, guys,
short.
because just in case, if they're good, then we want more. If they're bad, then we don't have to suffer through it.
Yeah.
So that's the key, guys.
Once you start approaching 6 or 7 minutes, this better be like Bohemian Rhapsody, Sympathy for the Devil levels of cool. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like, I'll even accept Layla.
Yeah.
Style.
I
I actually like the second half of Layla better.
Oh yeah. Do you want to go to the next one?
Yeah.
This one's called "I Was Where I Was,"
Oh yeah.
and here, I kind of I questioned. I said, "Is this album experiencing a drop off?"
Yeah, I was like, it felt just like very incomplete, and it was cool.
Yeah,
But like,
it just started feeling like I was like, "Oh man, is this starting to make me not think this is perfect?" You know,
Yeah.
and that's a hard feeling when you really like something. I think I can like really tune into that. I get expectations, and I respond really well to those expectations not being met. Not well. I respond strongly to
Yeah.
it, and I worried that at this moment, like, is this album starting to just drop off? Like,
Yeah.
Like I wrote, I wanted to rate this perfectly.
I know.
I wanted to rate it as a perfect record.
Wow.
You know, at this point, I was leaning, and then all of a sudden, I said this sounds a little too much like some of the other stuff, and it's kind of making me lose my horny a little bit.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, this band loves chorus.
Yeah, it does, and like, I think by this time I was like, all right, like let's move on.
Yeah. What else do you think about this track?
I don't really have, again, like I'm kind of having the similar thing. I was like, it's kind of dropping off now,
And it's
I'm
hard
like,
because we were past the Scampy Valley. You know what I mean? The unscampy Valley.
yeah.
I
Now
guess
we're
it
in
is.
Scampy.
I guess it is unscampy because we do less scampitude. You know, we do more.
Right.
We do a lot of scamp if we love it or hate it, but there's very little scamp.
Exactly.
So we kind of are going back into the unscampy valley almost a little bit.
Yeah.
Like we like it enough, but it's not kind of matching up to where it was earlier, and that's too bad.
That is too bad. But I mean, in context, like again, like this is all like a quarantine record recorded remotely. Like I guess my thought going like now at this point is like, all right, they are like, they're kind of just like rushing it, and they're just kind of like throwing whatever they have left. These are like the leftovers kind of thing.
That's why I was like, I wonder if they have leftovers, or now are we starting to think like there were no leftovers? This was a balls to the wall, everything on here. This band does like kind of sound like Pink Floyd sometimes in a cool way. It sounds like Beck, like in this, like Beck doesn't have a sound, but I think that there are some Beck listeners in this band.
Well, yeah, totally. I mean, if you don't listen to Beck, like I feel like everyone listens to Beck, right?
Yeah. And I have later in the notes of this song does get better, but I do need something really, really good coming up. Like this next song, my thought that I had was like, all right, guys, I need something really, really good, or I might start questioning my earlier opinion of the record, and that sucks.
So then what did you think of the next one, which is a real shorty?
Oh, next song? It's called Wasted Dreaming? Wasted
Yeah.
Dreaming? I said this is fine. This could have been earlier in the record.
Yeah.
Not really sonically there enough to have
It's
it
just
feel
like
like that good. And it's very, very, very short, which is fine.
that's the thing is like I had no notes on it because it was just so short. It was just like so like
This could have been like
guess
track 6, right?
unremarkable in comparison to the rest of the record.
Fair. I
know?
think that's all we got to say about that.
Yeah.
I think sonically it's not there enough to have like some of this other stuff that's short has this like really lush and good textured feel, and this
Yeah.
one's lacking a little bit.
Absolutely. Into the unknown.
Into the unknown. I said, okay, we're back. Like back to the sound. I wrote here, do these people not own bass guitars?
I think they from what I remember seeing them live, I think they play it like a short scale bass.
Yeah, I don't hear a lot of bass on this whole record, and
There's
this
not
track,
a lot of, like,
this
low
track
end.
is very thin. Like,
Yes.
like did you notice that?
I said I think it was like I thought it was like a thrown in last minute kind of thing.
Incomplete.
Like they had it. Yeah, it's incomplete, but it still rocks though.
Totally, but it kind of it makes me wonder, like, why did you guys not finish this one? You know?
Yeah, it's just kind of like you came in with a bang and then you left with a sigh.
Yeah, I really, and that's what I was saying. Like, I want to write this perfectly. Like, I think that makes this like a little bit less than iconic. And it could have been there, and it just sounds incomplete. There's more video game music though. It kind of sounds like Ween too. There's some like Ween wackiness in here.
Sure,
but I have written like that was kind of pointless.
Yeah, I think they should have just ended the record at Set Free, like with a sick guitar solo, and then just like, you're great, and then you just start the record over again.
I have the last 3 or so songs lost me. That's a bummer. This album is much shorter than the band is asking us to believe.
Yeah,
I like the song. I liked the song 3 songs ago. Maybe the album should have ended there. So you're right on the money, I think, with that.
Yeah.
The last 2 tracks leave me feeling confused about the record, like maybe that's the point,
Yeah.
And here's where I put this was like, maybe these are just playful add-ons they put on. They're like, oh, these are just fun to include. Maybe they are just everything they had, and they're like, we have to document everything. But it leaves me feeling confused, and I wonder if that's the point. But I do think this band is smart, and I really hope there's a legit reason for including these 3 songs. Maybe they just included everything. Maybe they want us to feel the way the songs are making us feel right now. And if it's one of those 2 things, I can definitely get down with it from an artistic standpoint. But if it's not, I say just delete those last 3 songs, and no one will know.
I think by this point I'm thinking, maybe the songs are like listed in chronological order of how they were written, and now by this point they're like,
that's interesting.
2020 is almost over. Let's just like, these are some ones that we still think are good, but like are not done, but let's throw them in there because these are quarantine jams and we're in quarantine, so.
And that I like too. I'm like, what? Maybe what if it is like it's exactly chronological in autobiographical order, from the band, and that's fucking kind of baller.
Yeah.
But if it's not that, I say just delete those last 3 songs off your Bandcamp. Don't tell anybody.
Yeah, don't tell anyone.
I don't know what your listens are at. No one knows about this record, so I think it wouldn't matter. And that's the end of the record, right?
That's it. That's Quarantine Jams.
This is dense.
This is a dense record.
I liked it.
Man, like this has been. I can just safely say this is like the most enjoyable record we've had so far in this podcast. I
think this is up there. I really enjoyed Captain Daddy, and I really enjoyed. I like Bicycle Shorts a lot too. I enjoyed listening to that one too. But I think this one right now, if we were to rank it, I think this is at the top right now as far as like. And so, listeners, artists, like if you don't agree with our assessment about a record, like ask yourself, is their record as good as Quarantine Jams by Natural Body? And if you can honestly say no, it's not, then you know where we stand on stuff, and it probably will come with less of a surprise. Like, and we're probably just gonna get harsher as we go on,
Yeah. I have a question for you. Like, what do you this is kind of like a Captain Daddy related kind of concept of like, could this have been split up into 2 records?
No, I think this record's the fine length. I do think that maybe the song track order is a little bit bad.
Yeah.
And I think that there maybe at the end here, they definitely, I think, try to hide the ones they're less confident in. At the end. And I remember when I spoke about like how I don't think there's any self-confidence issues, I think it came out at the end.
Sure. I could make the argument of like putting out like 2 EPs kind of thing, like of like the synthy kind of chill wave stuff and then more into like the rock stuff.
Yeah.
Only because it is kind of like, this kind of only works if my theory is right, if that it's like chronological, but if it's not, then I think they maybe did they could have done better on the song order then. Yeah. And then it might have made sense to either split it up or you should rearrange the song order and cut some.
Yeah, that's what I would say too, is you could definitely cut a few. Is be like, okay, maybe these ones and these ones and these ones. So I don't know. As it is though, it's probably better than having less, is having more from this period. So overall, I think really successful. I think like they got there. Well done.
Yeah, they made me want more after every song.
Yeah, definitely.
Except those last 3.
And at the end, that's our biggest takeaway gripe is that we weren't super down with the end of this record.
Yeah, but luckily I think the body of work makes I would still like be like, all right, let's play this whole album again. It's got a lot of replayability.
Yep.
Where some albums I really like, but they don't have a lot of replayability.
Right.
So-
Or the process of like having listened and talking about them is like takes so much out of us. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Man.
So I think we both can say it got there. We both are like big fans of this.
I think so too. And I think listener, you'll like it too. This is it was a real treat.
Let's give it a rating.
I'm gonna rate it. I don't know if you all know what a paleta is, but it's like a Mexican popsicle, and they're the big, giant, square bricks. You've had those, right? Lime green.
Okay.
Lime green Mexican popsicle.
Interesting. I'm gonna rate it as like you get to see you see like a blue jay in real life, like really up close for the first time of the year. It's like a really like you're like, oh, it's a blue jay, and it's like so apparent and like so obvious.
I'm really curious what else to see from this band, and we have often given this designation to. This is a band to look out for.
Yes,
It's a band to pay attention to, and a band if you don't know, I would say get familiar with.
I really hope that we can play with them.
They're all
someday.
veterans of the scene, every one of them, but I don't think that any of their music they've done before stacks up anywhere close to what they've been producing with Natural Body. So Natural Body's quarantine jams.
Well done, guys.
Yeah. Thanks so much for submitting. Hopefully we can get them on the live stream for this episode.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's do a quick. The Patreon has been out now for a couple weeks, but let's just give a quick shout out to our current patrons that we have right now.
Oh yeah, big shout out to Low Order,
aka Justin.
aka Justin. Big
He
shout out
is
to Josiah.
our-
Oh yeah,
big shout
let's do
out
it.
to Josiah.
Yeah, let's start with let's do. We'll edit that again. Let's do another take on that.
Okay. The Patreon has been out for a few weeks now.
We'll go top to bottom. We'll go Justin, Scott, Josiah.
Okay. Patreon has been out for a while now, but I do want to give a shout out of our current Patreon supporters right now.
Woo.
Let's start out with our first impressionist.
First Impressionist is our most basic level. It's easy level, and I want to give a shout out to Josiah from What Else Is There. Big shout
Josiah.
out. Thank you for supporting us. I want to give another shout out to Scott at the second level, at the Scamps level. Thank you so much for
Nice.
joining. We appreciate that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for all your feedback too. We appreciate that too.
Yes, thank you so much. And lastly, in the Scamp VIP, we have Low Order, aka Justin Gray. Thank you so much for supporting us.
We bow down at your scamptitude and your ballerness at supporting us at this level. It's going to help us so much with hosting, and we thank you so much. We are going to actually tape some personalized videos, which you will probably receive before you even hear this episode. Listeners, if you want to be a patron, you get access to all sorts of exclusive content that we are building as we go. Early access to all of our podcast episodes, access to our private Discord, and much, much more.
A lot more. Hilarity will ensue.
Oh yeah, I think that like if we can get to the point where we're making like enough money to be able to do this as a part-time job, it might just become our full-time jobs. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly, yeah.
If this is the equivalent of working at a shitty coffee house for both of us, I think that we can just end up making it be a full-time. We
Absolutely.
make content 80 hours a week. You know,
Yeah.
kind of situation. Or at
It's a
least
lot
our
of
team.
work.
It's a lot of work. And listener, if you want to get involved, even our patrons, if you want to get involved in production or whatever, we need more people. So
Yeah.
if you want to be part of a growing team of content building and making and just having fun with the internet, basically, we'd love to have you.
Exactly. Check us out on Facebook. Give us a like on Instagram at bandscamps_, patreon.com/bandscamps. Be a patron. Get onto the Discord. Bandscamps.com. Submissions at bandscamps@gmail.com. Man, we got a lot of shit.
We're going off, man. We're going
Yeah.
off hardcore, and we encourage you to subscribe, and we will bring a brand new episode to you every week on Tuesdays, and we do live streams every Friday or Saturday. We haven't decided yet.
Yeah, we're figuring it out.
I don't know.
Thanks for joining us on the ride.
Yeah. Dan, it's been awesome talking with you.
It's been lovely.
Anything else you got to say?
Just keep on scamping and see you in Unscampy Valley.
Yeah, well, may your record reside somewhere beyond the Unscampy Valley.
Yes.
This has been episode 11 of Band Scamps. Thank you so much for listening.
Thanks. We love you.
Love you too. Oh, you're talking to them.
Yeah, I love you
Okay.
too, though.
Oh, thank you. We love you, listeners, and we love each other.
This has been a Grand Rhapsody production. Executive produced by Dan Fisher and Julio Gomez.